record it. Let's do this. I'm gonna press live. Thinking. I think we're nearly there. I think we're in. We're live. How exciting. My favorite things to do. Yeah. So it's going to take people a few minutes to get on. People will just be receiving their little activation to say, or their little message to say that we are now live. So whilst we're waiting for that, I'm just going to say, anyone who is seeing this part, that means that you are watching the replay, I would say. And so welcome to the replay. Please join along and do #replay. Still ask any questions that you have of any of the women that are part of this entire event. We will be watching the thread throughout the day, and we will still continue to have a look at the thread over the following few days as well. Woo, we've just got our 5th person joining us. Let's bring her in. She's gonna quickly land in here in this space with us. So this is exciting. We've now got all of us in here joining you. Yay! Hello, Deb.
Hi, Judy.
Hello. Good timing. So yes. Where was I? So yes, do your #replay if you're watching this part of us. Tell us where you are in the world. Where are you joining us from? What is your, why are you here? What's your intention? What would you love to get out of listening to us today on, for some of you, your actual Easter Friday, some of you, your Thursday evening. Those of you that do celebrate Easter, happy Easter Friday. And yeah, and in America, happy Thursday night, basically. So we have, I think it's about 3 hours of just packed, amazing, awesome, juicy content with this whole incredible group of women that I would love to introduce to you, and I would love to share with you why we are here, like why.
I just, a technical thing.
Yes.
Someone messaged me and said that it says the host still hasn't started the live.
Oh.
And it does say that we're live on Facebook, so I don't know if anybody can hop into your Facebook and see if you can see this video or not.
Yeah, let's check that out, because that would just be
right.
Yeah. I mean, as much as we love talking to ourselves, I would rather talk to all of them. It says it's live on my phone. It says we've been live for a couple of minutes.
Okay.
See if there's any comments.
As much as we love talking to ourselves, I would rather talk to all.
There is comments. Are in.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you for checking that, because that would have not been too amazing. So for all those people that are on, I now have my notifications up. Please say hello. I can see lots of you coming on. Please say hello. Tell us where you are. And yeah, whilst I introduce all of these amazing women, I nearly swore. I won't swear. I'll introduce all of these amazing women. So everybody that you can see on screen here is a womb spiral practitioner. Everyone that you can see on screen here has been journeying in an apprenticeship with me for at least a year, some for quite a bit longer than that. But we have been journeying really deeply into what it is to be a woman connected to a womb, or a human really connected to our womb, and what it is then to reach out and hold space for other people who are on a similar journey. And each of these women that you see on this screen have had profound transformations throughout their own womb spiral experience and through coming through the apprenticeship program. And so what's happened this year, which I literally just have gotten covered in goosebumps, but what has happened this year is it's stepped away from being an apprenticeship with me, and it's now stepped into being the temple of Armella, supported by this incredible group of women. And it is literally a dream come true for me to have a temple space that has amazing women that are coming together to hold space for other women on their journey. So I would love to introduce them to you. You can see Jamy Miranda and her beautiful blue background. Jamy has been journeying with me for quite a long time now. And so she is actually coming in and co-facilitating this next round of the Temple of Armella with me. And I am so deeply honored, Jamy, to have you joining in that space. I adore you. And so thank you so much for not only being here today in this space, but also for coming on as a co-facilitator. I love you.
Yes. I love you.
Love fest, love fest, love fest. And so I'm going to go to the other side of me where you're going to see Brigitte Benary with her beautiful, amazing wild hair. Just adore that hair. So Brigitte is in Australia, and gosh, Brigitte and I haven't journeyed as long, maybe a year, but you know, sometimes when you meet and connect with someone from that instant, you're like, oh my goodness, this person is going to be working alongside me. So I knew that from the moment that I spoke to Brigitte about her coming into the apprenticeship, and it was like, oh, she's more than coming into apprentice, she's coming in to hold something really important within this work. So Brigitte is coming through in the Temple of Armella as one of our mentors, and I'm so excited for the transmission that you bring, Brigitte. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for being part of the Temple of Armella. And like, I want to give you big hugs, but you're a little far away. So then I'm going to come back down the other side so we can go America again. We've got this beautiful mix of like America and Australia and me in Bali. So Isadora, oh my goodness. Hello, darling. So Isadora is another one of the mentors in the Temple of Armella. I met Isadora when I was teaching in America, and actually she's one of the very few women who I kind of handpicked into this work, actually, her and Zoe. But Isadora, I was teaching spiral practitioner training, and I walked over to Isadora and I was like, oh, you're doing womb spiral. By the way, we're doing womb spiral retreat in a week and you're doing it. I can feel you. I know that you're doing it. And she fully followed the call and has been all the way in. She works with your doula, right? So she's working in birth work as well, and brings a really powerful transmission to this. And what I love is we've got, you know, Isadora is holding one particular transmission, and then I feel like we roll all the way through and Bridgette's holding another transmission. And so actually on my screen, I don't know about where they are for you, but they're above each other. And so I'm really finding this powerful combination of these two different stages of life is profound. And I'm so excited to have you in the space, Isadora, and really bringing the freshness and this beautiful innocence that you have into this space as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a mentor in the Temple of Armella. I love you. Again, on the other side of the world, can't squeeze you, but I am. And so then that brings us to Zoe Butler. Oh, so again, another woman who was very much handpicked to come into this work very unexpectedly for her. And we were in Byron Bay again at a spiral practitioner training, and there were some of us journeying afterwards, Jamy being one of them, at my house doing this deep journey. And we were all like, Zoe is supposed to be part of this. Zoe is part of this leadership team somehow. We don't know how. She hadn't even done womb spiral yet. And we rang her up. We're like, you need to come over and do the photo shoot because you're a leader in this work. And so I am divinely grateful, Zoe, that you trusted all of us, that you trusted the call to come to this work, because you hold a beautiful, potent, powerful transmission. And I know I think you're just coming to the end of one of your rounds of groups at the moment and getting ready to take another group through. So you are being held here today for these few hours by some really amazing, incredible women who I deeply respect and adore. And to have them walking beside me in this work is such a deep honor. So I want to just check the messages because I can see that lots of people are commenting. So I don't want to miss any of you. We've got lots of people saying hello, where they're from. Hello, everybody. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Yep. Okay, we're all just saying our hellos so far. So if you already know any of these women and you have questions for them for today, please, you can start to put those into the comments now. And when they go live for their session, we can see if we can get those answered for you. Otherwise, they will all be coming in and checking into the comments as well. Or if you're kind of like, wow, that I don't know who that is, but I'm feeling like drawn and I want to ask her a question, you can literally start asking questions now. So go for it. We want to interact with you. Hi, family. Hafida says hi, family. So enough of the introductions. I would love to start leading us into an activation, into a womb activation. And so if you're in a position where you can come into your body and close your eyes, please do. We're going to change the pace. We're going to start to just drop in and connect into our bodies, connect into this space, and begin to open our time together. So if you're able, please come into a space with your eyes closed. If you're not, keep on listening and keep on bringing your energy into the space and just going about your day as you need to. If you can close your eyes, please do. And with your eyes closed, just starting to watch your breath. Nothing you need to change, just becoming aware of your breath. Just watching as it comes in and out. Noticing, does it come in through your nose or your mouth? Does it come into more in your upper body or into your mid body or into your lower body? And same with when you breathe out, just noticing, do you breathe out through your mouth or your nose? And when you breathe out, what happens to the rest of your body? Just for the next 2 breaths, on the in-breath, we're going to focus on just being more in your own body, just having the intention being more in your own body with the in-breath. And with the out-breath, holding the intention of letting go of anything that isn't this moment. That's it. You may even want to have an audible sigh as you exhale, just to support you in coming more into this space. So we're going to get you to bring your attention now, still with your eyes closed if you can. Bring your attention down to your womb space. Now I want to honor and acknowledge here that not everybody has a physical womb, obviously, but you still have a womb space. Some people will have a physical womb. Some people have an energetic and etheric womb, or everybody has an energetic and etheric womb. It's just bringing your attention to your womb space. And if you don't know where that is, it would be roughly 3 fingers below your belly button. And probably around about the size of a small avocado, just to give you some type of visual reference. And starting to sense what is present. Do you feel anything there? Or is there a distinct lack of feeling there? And just noticing, not making anything right or wrong, just being aware. So now we're going to start to bring the breath down into your womb. Imagining that with each breath, your womb is able to expand and contract. That's it. Each breath, it's just expanding and contracting. If it helps you, you may want to place your hands on your womb, but you don't have to, just doing what feels right in your body. And as you're breathing into your womb, now noticing, is there anything that you feel or anything that you're aware of? Maybe for you, it's not feeling. Maybe for you, you're hearing a message. And again, just being aware, maybe there's silence, maybe you don't feel anything different. It's all perfect. Just honoring where you are in this moment in time. That's it. And so now, just seeing, feeling, or knowing, visualizing that there is an umbilical-like cord that now drops down from your womb space, drops down through the floor of any room that you might be sitting in, and it starts to drop down into the earth. Firstly, it starts to make its way through the crust of the earth. Then it starts to make its way through the different layers of the earth. For you, you may see the different textures, the different colors. You might feel different temperatures as it's dropping down. Or for you, perhaps it's simply that you are imagining that this is dropping down. Everything is perfect. That's it. Dropping that cord further down into the earth. And just noticing what you notice, feeling what you feel, seeing what you see. And you might start to notice now that there is a gentle pull, that gently that cord is being called down deeper, almost like it's being magnetized further and deeper down into the earth. And allowing it now to drop into the central core of the earth, the womb of Pachamama Gaia. So allowing that connection now from your womb down into the earth womb. And again, just feeling, does anything feel different here for you? Becoming aware, perhaps you feel more grounded, more stable. But what is present for you? Just noticing. That's it. And so this central core, the womb of the earth, the womb of Pachamama Gaia, she is able to support us. She is able to transmute that which no longer serves. She is able to provide us with love and nurturing, and she is able to provide us with the activation of the womb. So here, as you remain connected through this grounding cord, just hold the intention for a moment that anything that no longer serves, anything within your own womb space that no longer serves, that is ready to be released and let go. Just setting the intention to send that down through that grounding cord. You may be conscious of it and you may not. Just the intention to let it all go. That's it. Just letting it drop all the way down into the womb. And as whatever no longer serves drops down into the womb, just to allow her to transmute. She's just taking that, what no longer serves, just like when we compost. She takes it and she turns it into something that is nurturing. And so as she's now turning what no longer serves for you into love and into life force, start to breathe that energy back up through your grounding cord. Receiving her love and her life force up through that cord and into your own womb. Allowing it to fill and nurture your womb space. And then feeling what's right for you. Perhaps it wants to continue filling up the rest of your body. Perhaps it wants to remain in your womb space. Whatever is true in your own body, trust that. Good. And then again, now we're going to bring that grounding cord back up out of the earth. Just bringing it back out of the womb now. Allowing that cord to come all the way back up through the earth. back into your own womb. And here, just feeling what's right for you. Maybe that feels complete. Or maybe for you, you would like to say, I am myself, myself, and no one but myself. And you could say that 3 times just to confirm now that you're only holding your own energy, that you're not holding any other energy. That's it. Now just again feeling. Does anything feel different? Does your body feel different? Not making anything right or wrong, just honoring and acknowledging what's there in this moment. And just taking a beautiful big breath in, allowing yourself to ground in your body. And a sigh out. And one more of those, just breathing in to ground into your body. And a sigh out. And as you're staying in this space, just stay with your own body. We're going to step into a beautiful honoring with Brigitte.
And as we're held in this space of light and love as ourselves, taking a breath into the womb space and knowing as we connect into our womb space, we connect into ourselves, we connect into our ancestors, we connect into the ancestors of the land that we all sit in, past, present, and emerging. And just breathing in this space and allowing them to hold us. In their ancient wisdom and knowledge. And as we hold in our womb space, this is the life force of where we know this wisdom, of where we connect into this ancient knowledge for ourselves. And just feeling yourselves in this very grounded space. It's as almost if that each woman, each one of your ancestors is holding you, is cradling you, is nurturing you in every moment of your life. Feeling that sense of being held, that sense of groundedness, that sense of knowledge and knowing that these ancestors are always here for you. They're always holding you, keeping you safe, and guiding you. And as we allow ourselves the space to connect into this womb space, we allow the space for this knowledge to come through, for our wisdom and our magic to emerge. And this beautiful practice is what serves us to be more of who we are. And as we breathe into this space, we share gratitude for this wisdom that these ancestors bring to us. Perhaps even bringing your hand to your heart, allowing the love and the light to come into our heart space, and allow it to spread across our body, all through our energy, from our womb space to our heart. Just really allowing that love and that wisdom and that knowledge to emerge as we take each breath. Sending gratitude and love to those ancestors who hold us each moment, each breath, each second. And just allowing a sigh, perhaps a sigh of gratitude. Gratitude filled with love for this space that we have for ourselves and for the knowledge that they bring us, and the knowledge that will emerge from each and every one of us as we connect here together and as individuals, as potent women, connecting into our innate wisdom and magic. And just grounding yourselves into the womb space and into where you're seated. Just really allowing this space to emerge.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Brigitte. Yum. So, yeah. I feel like that's brought us into a beautiful space to start to come into the next few hours together, where you're going to hear each of these women share a little of their wisdom. They all have so many gifts to share. It's been a little difficult for each of them to choose, like, what's the one little thing that they can bring into this space for you, because there is just so much. The amount of wisdom in this circle of women is quite incredible. But our intention here is to give you an experience, is to really give you a gift of a piece of wisdom for each of the women when they share for about half an hour and really give of themselves. So please, like, ask any questions that you have in the chat thread. If they're not necessarily, they might not be watching the chat thread, but I am, so I can share those questions with them, or they will also come back in when they finish their half an hour. They will come back in and have a look at any questions and respond and answer to you. Of which I can see one person who, thank you very much, had said it was difficult for you to find the link. I will jump in now into the event and make that more obvious in the actual details of the event. So thank you so much for that feedback. We really appreciate knowing if there's anything that's not working for you. So I'm so excited that I'm going to get to introduce you to Jamy. So, and I'm going to read you a little piece you'll find. I'm going to share with you all later this beautiful website that actually shares about the Temple of Armella. It shares about our offerings. It shares a little bit about each of the women as well. And I'm going to share that in the comments for you later. But right now I'm going to read this little piece around Jamy. And the reason I'm going to read it rather than say my own words is I really love the words that are here. So Jamy is a passionate way shower, committed to radically redefining family dynamics. She creates judgment-free space to allow women to clear their own ancestral patterns, reparent their inner child, and become the point of change that gets passed forward for generations to come. She is also the founder of the new parenting paradigm. She is a visionary and she is a 6'2" sage. So I'm going to welcome Jamy. I'm going to put you onto speaker view so that they can all see you. Oh, hang on. And I'm going to highlight you so that we go, where are we? Spotlight. There we are. There she is. Welcome, Jamy. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom. I'm going to mute myself and allow you to chat with the women. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I am Jamy Schumacher, as Zapheria so beautifully introduced me. First of all, I do want to just begin by expressing my deep gratitude for being invited to be a part of this space and to get to participate in holding a new group of women through the experience of the womb journey, the womb spiral, however you end up interacting with this particular temple space. Today, I know the other women, a lot of the other women are bringing some really beautiful processes and experiences. And so today I wanted to start just with a reframe that I think is really important for us as women, as change makers, as lovers in the world. And this reframe is around power and what it looks like in the world, and how beautifully it can create transformation when we actually allow it to be integrated and led by love. So I want to start with a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that has really resonated with me since actually going through this journey of the womb spiral and really connecting deeper into my own power. And the quote is, "Power without love is reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love." And that really resonated with me as I began to tap deeper into the conditioning that I held around what it meant to be in my power. And I started to think about, why is that? Why do so many women, and particularly women in this, in this field of healing and of compassion and love and change in the world? And the conclusion that I came to is that up until this point, the model or the example that we have seen of power is very connected to power structures and hierarchy and control, very strong and masculine in nature. And what I believe we are here to do is to redefine the way that power moves in the world, to begin to utilize what we are built with, the innate strength within us to bring more love to the planet. But in order to do that, we have to start looking at why we're afraid of our own power, and why we kind of want to push it away and not actually fully stand in it. So I was looking online not that long ago, actually, and I was looking up synonyms for power. And a vast majority of them were quite negative, were about forcefulness, about dominance, about, fury and destructiveness. And it was very jarring and interesting, actually, for me to see kind of the collective perspective of what power is. And the reframe that I would love to start to consider is when we consider power our driving force, our commitment to showing up in love, to being willing to honor our truth, to stand in our sovereignty, and to model what it means to care about other people, to hold compassion. So instead of this forcefulness, can it be vitality? Can it be influence? Can it be potency and the capacity to show up, to create change, to love when maybe it feels difficult to love. My own journey to this has been, I grew up in a religious household, and through a lot of my childhood, there was a lot of teaching and a lot of conditioning around being humble. And I learned indirectly and, mostly unconsciously that there was a way that it was appropriate for me to show up. So I started to connect my sovereignty and my truth and my power to being mean, to being harmful towards others, or that it meant taking, that it meant, that it was, if I was in my power, then it was negative for someone else. And of course, in, my desire to bring more beauty to the world, I didn't want to hurt anybody in that. And so I retracted and I edited and I minimized my power. And quite honestly, a large part of what brought that back online was my journey through the womb spiral and learning what it meant to be deeply grounded in my own body, to know what is true for me, and to give me access to a new level of courage, to be steadfast and to show up even when it's hard, even when it's scary, even when maybe it's uncomfortable to challenge someone. And of course, that being my experience and my story, so many of the clients that come through, to do the womb spiral or whatever work with me have very similar conditioning, as I would presume. Maybe it's quite rampant in most of us, I would say. And here's the thing, is that most of these women, most of you women, have a deep desire to create massive change on this planet. And I think there's this realization that we have to come to, is that it would be very difficult to penetrate the world and to bring that change through if we are not willing to tap into our power. And so in order to reframe that, we start to look at not trying to replicate or trying to be like what we've seen power in the past, to let go of any hierarchy that might look like, and to bring that through in compassion for each other, in connection to what it is that we desire to see more of on the planet, to embody love. The ego is oftentimes where this power is rooted or is connected to or starts. This I part of us that has our own desires, but also has our own dreams and our own purpose to fulfill in the world. And so when we can start to, instead of resisting or pushing away or wanting to quote unquote kill the ego, what if we can start to bring that into a healthy relationship, to honor this part of us that does have an I, that does have a desire to create change in the world, but not keeping it in that I place, and actually like bringing it up through the heart. Imagine these warriors and these people who have desire and passion and excitement to create change in the world, not just for me and my needs, but brought up through the heart and up connected into love, and that fire and that resilience and that drive actually starts to get directed towards creating change for the greater one, the greater us, the collective, if you will. I really do feel like that is part of our charge, at least me personally. I guess I will take ownership of this, is that It is a part of my charge to help people to reframe what power looks like in the world. And when we can start to see power that is married with compassion, that is connected to love, that has the whole in its sights and in its consideration, we can start to unravel and let go of the old paradigm. It was interesting just today, because my thing is parenting. And just today I talked about changing that relationship with our parents. I posted something about not forcing our kids or, trying to force what we think is best onto our kids. And I think that that's a very important thing for us to consider. This hierarchical power structure. I'm in charge. I know what's best, and I want to make you do that. And when we can actually start to empower each other, to respect the sovereignty of each other, that includes parents to children, that includes child to my parents, that includes me as an adult to my own inner child. When we start to respect the sovereignty of each other and actually empower each other in our actions, we start to see people that aren't fighting for power, but that are innately connected to their power. And they aren't resisting and having to fight against what that definition might mean. But it's very interesting because on that post, I had a woman disagree, very enthusiastically disagree that parents are in charge and children are not, and that we are here to guide them and they're not here to guide us. And it was very interesting to feel the energy of this: I'm in charge and they are not. And so another point that brought up for me was awareness that power and control are not necessarily directly connected to guidance. I think that we learn very early on that control and rules and structure are what keep us safe. And so if we love someone, we want to keep them safe. And it justifies our imposition on other people. And when we can really start to look at why we feel uncomfortable with people making choices that feel good for them, where do we feel unsafe in our own bodies? Where do we want to control the things around us and harness power in a way that imposes or limits other people's freedom around us? We can start to journey with what we're trying to rescue ourselves from or what we're trying to protect ourselves from. So my offer is in this consideration that love and power can coexist. In fact, they need to, in order for us to create the change that we want to on this planet. I see so many people in our community in particular in this space of compassionate, heart-led people, very afraid of their power, very resistant to their power, and cannot feel that it can coexist with love. And I see a lot of people in their power, and in this I don't know how to force field or this fortress of power in order to keep themselves safe, and they don't understand how love can be a part of that, because love might weaken those boundaries or their authority or their power. And so the reframe and the request is to start looking at what love would look like if it has power behind it, if there is the life force of power behind what you love and the way that you love in this world. How much further can your work go? How many more people can you support and help and guide? And if you are in your power and you are disconnected from love, how can you bring more compassion and more softness into the barrier that may or may not actually keep you safe. I think that this awareness that this all starts with our own sovereignty, with our own ability to hold ourselves, with our own ability to feel our power, to touch our power, and to decondition what it is in us that's afraid of it. Beyond the, the religious dogma and the experiences that we have and the way that we're taught to show up in our power. I think a lot of human beings in general, I work primarily with women, so I feel like this is a very prominent thing in the field of women as well, that we are afraid to tap into our power because we can feel the immensity of it. I can't tell you how many clients and women I've worked with that actually say they're afraid of their power because they're afraid that they will turn into like the destructive force, that like they will just destroy everything in their life if they fully allow themselves to tap into their power. And that's terrifying. That is terrifying. It's as simple as that. I've felt that, and I feel it's safe to assume that probably many of you watching have as well. To bring that into your awareness, that you are at the core of your being, at your soul level, who you are. The nature and the essence of you is innately you. You are not kind and loving because you haven't tapped into your power. It's a misconception that like I can only do this because I haven't allowed myself to acknowledge that. But the truth is, you are who you are. If you were intending to be destructive, you would do that with or without access to your power. So this ability to trust the innocence and the goodness of who you are at the core of your being, and have the courage to start to tap into that life force, that deep, grounded power that travels through you innately. Because to be honest, it's there. It's a part of all of us. And what happens when we don't acknowledge it, and when we resist it, and when we look away from it, is that it kind of comes out sideways. It starts to play in the shadows, and we are meek and kind and compassionate, and yet this power can come out in manipulation, or can come out in like different ways that we try to control and force in and behind the smile of like meek kindness. And where those things are happening, either in our relationships with our kids, or maybe our partners, our friendships, can actually be quite what's the word I'm looking for? Like quite revealing. I can't tell you how many times I have had to confront the parts of me that like, no, I'm not doing that at all. And yet over and over again, when I'm not willing to fully own what it is that I desire, when I'm not prepared or willing to fully own my power, it is showing up in ways that I'm unaware. And it's creating, I feel, consequences that if I were willing to just fully own what it is that exists within me, fully own my authority and my power, my ability, my vitality, my effectiveness, that I don't have to apologize for it, and I don't have to manage how it's running in the background. It's like, instead of it hiding, bring it right up in front and interact with it and use it intentionally, and use it towards the change that you want to see on this planet, whether that's in parenting, whether that's in women's work, whether it's in womb work, whether it's in, whatever place in your life that you are hiding from your power. I challenge you to start to look at why you're hiding it, And that's as simple as asking the question, why am I afraid of my power? What stories have I created around what power means? And remember that you are the sovereign creator of your reality, of your experience. So if you do not want to be a reflection of the power structures that we've seen in the world, how can you do it differently? How can you show up in love? Because let me tell you, it takes great power to be in a confrontation with someone maybe who is not in their heart, who is closed and maybe combative. And can we utilize that power connected to love to stay open, to stay curious, to meet that person without creating a war, without creating an explosion or a conflict? That's power to me. I correlate it to the ocean. And I think we said this, I did a chat with Zapheria last week or 2 weeks ago, but the force and the power of the ocean is unmatched, and she doesn't attack. She doesn't go after anybody. She gently and continuously moves. And you can't punch her, you can't hurt her, you can't you can't disturb her, if you will, because she is fully in her power. And to me, this is what feminine power looks like: the ability to stay connected and grounded to your sovereignty and truth, no matter what's happening around you, and come out of reactivity and into responsiveness to the world around us, to show up in love, to show up in compassion, to challenge the things that are not in alignment with what we know the world can be. Let me think if there's anything else. Are there any questions, Zapheria, or any comments that I can respond to?
So I've just shared it, by the way, everywhere. So now I'm looking at like 5 different pages to see where the comments are.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm looking at all these different places. But rather than look at that, I guess like I have a piece that I would love to ask you is when it's difficult to fully step into our power and to really own it and claim it, what do you feel are the things that we can start to do? Like, I know for myself, and I also know parts of your journey, that it's not always easy to move through this piece and to step in. And I guess to you, do you feel like it's like one big leap and like, cool, now I'm all in my power? Or do you feel like it's an evolution?
I think it's a lot of those leaps, actually. Continuously over and over again, because everyone feels big. It's like every time we approach the edge of our comfort zone, it feels big, it feels terrifying, it feels exhilarating, it feels overwhelming, like all of these things. And I guess to me, like, that's where this womb work and this womb spiral process supported me so much, is that when it's overwhelming, when everything outside of me is telling me, like my brain and my mind and my ego to like just like keep your head down, just play it cool, don't rock the boat, I have access to that deeper part of me that's unwavering. I have access to this level of groundedness and strength that I didn't have before, where I was kind of doing it on my own and I was up in my head. And now it's like I'm fully in my body, roots deeply in the ground, and held and supported by the earth, And so it's like to know that no matter what happens around me, I've got myself and I am solidly safe within my own body. I can retrieve that. I can call on that. I can pull that up to bring in the courage that it takes to take that big leap over and over again. So yes, I mean, like, it's both. It is one big leap, and it's one big leap over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, that's been my experiences as well. So I was intrigued to hear like if that's also been your experience. But for me, yeah, it's many big leaps.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
every time you grow, you've got to face a new edge. So it's kind of the journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're given as big a leap as what we can manage at a time, right? Like if we went from, wherever we were, say even 2 years ago to where we are now without like the little leaps, I think we would all go a little crazy.
Yeah, Zapheria, I think it was like just over 2 years ago that I was sitting in womb spiral with you. So, like, look how much has changed in that amount of time. Something that actually came up in a session not that long ago. Somebody said, "Oh, but that thing feels so big. Like that future that I desire, it feels so big, and it feels bigger than I am, and I don't think I can do it." And the reminder is that the person you are right now looking at that future is not the same version of you that will be taking those steps all that way down the road. So that's why it's so important to stay right here. Like, what am I being called to do right now? What courageous act? How am I being called to show up right now for power? Because we are equipped to make those decisions right now. But if we are thinking so far down the road, we can get overwhelmed because we don't feel prepared. And we aren't, actually, because it's the journey of getting to that place that prepares us to stand in that place. And so always remember to come back to right now. What am I being called to embody right now? Where am I being asked to stand in my power now? And not get too far ahead of yourself, because you will be prepared for that if you continuously lean in to the challenges and to the places where we want to shrink, and lean forward and stretch.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much. I really, that piece of like stay in the now. I feel like that like for anyone who's listening that's been like, oh, how do I do that? And we just said big leaps. The stay in the now. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom in this space with us. Deeply appreciate you, and so honored to have you as co-facilitator in the Temple of Armella. Cannot wait to create like 6 months of absolute magic with you.
So yummy. Yes. And, part of the reason that I chose this topic today, it is a little hard. So I'm a generator. It's a little hard to just talk without someone to like respond to. But the reason that I chose this is because it's actually a pretty major part of my design, is that I innately can activate this power, or a willingness to engage in this power, in people that are ready to step into that. And that actually is what flipped me, upside down when I wanted to just be small and meek. And it was like, no, this is part of your purpose on the planet. So I was like, I better get out of my own way and just own that.
I'm glad you're owning it. Definitely one of the transmissions that's ready to come into this temple with the women. So anyone who's been watching so far and has really resonated with what Jamy shared, you can obviously check out her Facebook. Please do follow her. She shares a lot of beautiful wisdom. I'm also going to share with you shortly, I probably should share it soon, a link to the Temple of Armella, so you can start to see what it is that we're all creating. And Jamy also is, like I said at the beginning, a womb spiral practitioner as well. So you could always reach out to her if that's also something that's been calling for you. So thank you so much, Jamy. I adore you. And I'm gonna switch our little spotlight. Oh, I didn't know you could spotlight 2 people. How cool is that? Amazing. I just learned something new. We're gonna bring on Isadora. I believe that's right. I've got the right order, haven't I? Just not even looking at my notes. I'm going to do the same thing for Isadora as well, as I want to read the words, because it's in your words on what we have on the Temple of Armella website. So Isadora is an earth woman devoted to, revivifying. I like this word, devoted to revivifying, remembering and honoring the feminine principle, awakening and healing the womb, our Mother Earth, and all of humanity. She creates spaces where she gently guides people in reconnecting with their unique essence, their radiance, and their innocence. She's the founder of Womb Seed Wisdom. She's a birth and postpartum doula, a spiral and womb spiral practitioner, a poet, and a land steward. Amazing. Thank you so much for being here, darling. I'm going to let you give the people your beautiful wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamy. That was very timely and super beautiful to hear that the reframe of power and what it really means to be in our power, especially during this time and especially as women. And I just feel to start today by just really acknowledging what's happening in the world and how much change and energy is moving and transmuting. And personally, it's just been a lot to digest and to really sit with, well, what's going on and what's true, and all of these things. And the womb is really what saves me over and over and over and over again as this place of total refuge and clear truth in this world of the Maya, right? The illusion that we're all maneuvering. And so I just want to honor and acknowledge for people, if you're feeling any anxiety or grief or despair or any, intense emotion, that just allow it and welcome it, and know that there is a greater power within you that is untouched by all of this. And so we're really going to see if we can access that. And so my share today is called Cyclical Wisdom, and it's basically my favorite topic ever to talk about, and it's a big topic, so I've kind of picked different things for today's share. But learning about the cycles, so learning about the menstrual cycle, the moon cycle, the plant cycle, even the journey we go through during pregnancy and birth, and the postpartum in and of itself is a cycle, the cycles we go through during the day. This is nature's time. This is our natural time. And we live in a reality that has distorted time, and in the same way has distorted our bodies, our minds, and our spirits ultimately. And the journey of coming back home for me has been reconnecting to my cycles, my cyclical nature, and my naturalness as a human being. And I love the word human. So it comes from the root is hume, which means humus, like of the soil, and then also humble, so hume, humbleness. And so to be human is to be humbly of the soil. And so I've really adopted that understanding of being human, and just bring that into my life as much as I can. So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about cycles, and specifically I want to get into the menstrual cycle because that is just one of my favorite things to talk about. And Zapheria really encouraged me when I was going through the apprenticeship to start and track my cycle and really get to know the energies. And that definitely was one of the many seeds that were planted around connecting to this wisdom, this inner wisdom. And why I think it's so important to share today, and kind of beautifully ties into what Jamy was saying, is like, again, we've been taught a very distorted way of being in the world, and especially as women, of producing or of birthing projects or even babies. Just a way of living that is very solar. And as you'll see, it's a very ovulatory energy. So many of us are like, think we're ovulating our whole cycle, but we're really not. And it's unnatural. It's very unnatural how many of us, no fault of our own, are living and are kind of forcing and striving. And so I feel like my transmission and really my medicine that I ultimately need, which is really what we share, is to actually come back to, oh, well, what is nature doing? What is my body actually telling me? What are actually the hormones? What's the shifting that's taking place within me and around me? And so it's a never-ending journey. It's a cycle, right? It's a spiral, but it's something that once you learn about and you become attuned to, you become in tune with it, the outer kind of pressure and outer, again, the illusion kind of just like, oh, okay, that's happening. That's not my truth. And it's really coming back to, well, what's your truth? What's your cyclical understanding of life and the cycles? So we're going to go on a little journey and we're going to start at, and I just also, first, before we go, I want to acknowledge, if you don't bleed, if you don't have a menstrual cycle, that's beautiful also. And we are cyclical beings, so we can connect to the cycles and to the energies of the cycles no matter what. And menopause brings on its own magic and cycle in that phase. So while I am going to talk about the menstrual cycle, know that it's just energies that we all experience, and you can even see it in a day. It's really, we are the micro of this great macro. And so, okay, we're going to start at day 1 of our cycle. And day 1 of our cycle is the first day that we start bleeding. And this isn't like spotting or anything. This is like the first day of our very heavy bleed is considered day 1 of the menstrual cycle. And this is often connected with the new moon phase of the moon cycle, because, right, it's the darkness, it's the inner winter. It's the period where all of our energy, even our hormones, all of our hormones drop, and it's our inner phase. So it's the time where we go within, and it's the perfect time to plant seeds. I like to think of this time also as like just the fertile soil. It's like, this is the time of the soil and the darkness and this complete spaciousness. It's also the time of the cosmic womb. We are just in total darkness, and in the darkness is pure potentiality, right? But also in the darkness, we don't want to bring like a bunch of light, because then it's no longer darkness. So we have to really honor and take time to honor this darkness. Also honor the blood that's flowing out of us, the way in which the body is cleansing itself, right? It's actually a cleansing process. And so the archetype present here is the crone, or the wise woman, or the priestess. This is the time of really, I think, in my belief and my experience, where we are our most powerful. In terms of true power, what power truly is, which is power of within, right? It's not like an external, it's power within. This is the time where the veils are so thin and we can just directly connect and we feel everything. And that's why it's highly, highly recommended that during this time you stay in, right? And also, turn off your phone, just really go within, pay attention to your dreams, really honor what's going on in the inner world. And so a lot less energy outside. And of course, being realistic with our world today, but that might look, like taking an hour nap or something throughout the day, just really honoring that rest. And then I love it because also it's winter. So think of, what foods do we eat in winter time, right? So this is the time to eat warm soups and teas and really replenish like iron-rich foods. So if you eat meat, like bone broths, red meats, and then just, greens, like just a lot of cleansing foods, beets and things. And yes, let's see what else. And this is really the time, like I say, to plant seeds. So, right, the new moon, what's been taught to me, it's it's the time to plant seeds. So it's not the time to do, it's not the time for things to manifest or anything in the physical, but it's actually the time of the inspiration, to be inspirited, to receive what is coming through, and then just letting it sit there and actually not doing anything about it. Right. And then so bleeding's typically 3 to 5 days. I will say if you bleed fully for more than 7 days, that could indicate hemorrhaging. So I always put that in there because that's really something a lot of women don't know. And I think if that's the case, you can always reach out to me if you need help with that, but also, just look into it. So our bleeding tells a lot about our health. Now they're saying the menstrual cycle is our 5th vital sign. So it's basically the major sign of our health and well-being. And so, okay, so we've been in our winter, right? What happens after winter, everyone? Spring comes. I love the inner spring. So, right, it's been winter. Okay, now we're like, all right, we've cleansed. We're literally a new being. We're like literally brand new. Like, think of like a newborn. And now we come into our spring phase. So that's our pre-ovulation phase. And so during this time, our estrogen peaks. So our estrogen is rising during this time. So think of like estrogen, right? It's like this very feminine hormone that's very much tied to our energy and just, leading up to that period of being fertile and all of this. So this is our inner spring. So this is before ovulation. And this is the time where the archetype of the virgin and the maiden come out. And so our energy is slowly starting to transition to the outer world. And so we're just like, I always think of this is like the most flirtatious time of our cycle. It's kind of like, okay, like let's get to know the world. I kind of think of like bunny rabbits, they come out and look at you, but then if you look at them, they kind of go away. So we're not yet ready to like fully meet the world, but we're like, okay, we're going to start doing things. All right, we're going to start like transitioning out and meeting people and creating action plans. So I, treat the cycles as a business plan, basically. So it's like, okay, bleeding, inspiration comes. Pre-ovulation, okay, I'm going to start getting really organized because I know when I hit my summer phase.
Sorry,
Yeah.
The comments said that the live video has ended.
Oh,
now they're saying you refreshed the page and the video came back. So refreshed and it's back. Okay, sorry, I just didn't want anyone to miss out on anything you were saying.
Oh, that's okay.
I think
technology, another funny part of our world. Yeah. Yes, no worries. This is like my favorite. I'll talk about this all the time, so I would be happy to say it 100 more times.
That's cool.
So yeah, that you can also use your cycle as a business plan. So the springtime is really creating your action plans and beginning projects or continuing with projects if you haven't, right? And so this is also corresponds to the waxing moon. So it was new and now it's waxing. So it's growing basically towards fullness. And this is again, so bleeding is not the time to stretch your comfort zones or put yourself into an uncomfortable situation. But this pre-ovulation is the time to start like, go on a date or like do a post or do some kind of project that maybe you're a little scared of, but you're like, no, I feel it's time. So it's really your time to shine, to start to shine. And then we get to, and that typically lasts, so spring typically lasts about 7 to 9 days, roughly. Every woman's cycle is different. They give like the 28 days, but honestly, I think like 7% of the population actually has that as their cycle. So to each their own, I think it's like 28 to 32 is the average. If it's less or more, again, that's something to maybe look into. But then, okay, everything starts to rise hormonally, energetically, and we come to our inner summer, which only lasts, get this, our inner summer only lasts like 2 to 3 days. So that's our ovulation. That's when we're like, we are just fertile. We are dripping. We are like dripping. We're like, life impregnate me. Let's do this. Right. So all the seeds that were planted in winter, remember all the seeds planted in winter, they're coming, they're sprouting, they're fruiting. It's everything's happening during that summer. So that's when we are just so energized. This is the archetype of the mother, the lover, and the creatrix. So this is the time when our energy is actually sustained in the outer world. So we actually, feel like, wow, I could do this forever. I could give speeches forever. I could post forever. I could give birth forever. All of these things. It's like this very high energy. I could have sex forever. It's very much tied to our, obviously we're very sexual can be very sexual during this time. And just so you know, everything I'm saying is like a base. If this doesn't feel like it's you, then again, beautiful. It's just a base for sort of the energetic flow that we go through every month. And then of course, this corresponds with the full moon, which I was taught the full moon is the time to just, similar in a way to bleeding, just receive. So it's kind of the time to stand in your light and really receive all the bounty that you have created for yourself during that last cycle. So it's a very much a celebration energy, and just like a really powerful energy. I always think of just like a pregnant person, just so full of life, so nourished and so taken care of. Let's see. Yeah, and this also is a really good time to connect with people, to connect with friends, to connect with family. Like we're so open to the outer world. It's that just feels nourishing for us, and energetically and hormonally, it makes sense. And random fact, but our faces actually become more symmetrical when we're ovulating. I think we've evolved to have that happen for attracting a partner. But so I mean, in some ways we're more attractive. I put that highly in quotes, but like all these things are happening in our bodies that are like, life, I'm fertile, so. And we're just very, very juicy. I can be very juicy, and that can be when we're dripping, we're getting all the liquids. And if you do the fertility awareness method, which is a method of basically using your temperature and checking your liquids every day, that tests into if you're fertile or not, basically, but also it's just a way of tracking your cycle. This phase will have the most cervical mucus, and it'll be almost like boogers. You'll see it and you'll feel it, and you can sometimes feel dripping. It's like, wow, you can usually tell when you're ovulating in that way. Right, okay, so we are like in the light. We're just like, yes, I just want to do this forever. It's gonna be like this forever. And then life's like, no, that's actually not how life works. Like, you actually are not meant to do that, love. That's not life. But I love that you love that. You'll be there again. And so now we enter into this phase that it's like, there's so much said, the pre-menstrual phase, the PMS, which I'm just like, okay, please make space. Please make space. Let's have that be the PMS. So right, think of like a fruit tree. So like a beautiful ripe apple, it's fallen from the tree. So what happens after that? So it starts to rot and decompose, and it goes back to the earth. And so like Zapheria mentioned, this composting happens in a way. So if we at that time were impregnated and we choose to keep the pregnancy, then we will enter a completely different cycle and a completely different phase through our pregnancy. If we do not get pregnant and we choose to not have a child, if we do get pregnant, then we go into our fall phase. So this is the time, and this is the phase that is kind of has the most charge, I would say, in our society, or kind of you know, you see in shows and all this stuff is like, oh, is it that time of the month, and all these things that have really again distorted this magical sacred time that actually pre-patriarchy, pre his story, was a very, very potent and powerful and honored time in our societies. And it's actually said that this is when the woman's sexual energy and sexual drive and capacity for like deep orgasm is actually at its strongest, right? So the ovulation time it's sexual in the sense of you're fertile, right? So that's actually the time you're able to conceive. But for the deep, more shamanic, orgasmic pleasure experience, it was known that this inner fall and even the menstruation is the time for that power. And so this is, like I said, the fall, and the archetypes present are the queen, the healer, and the enchantress. And this is our time of transitioning our energy into the inner world. And so again, like with spring, it's like, I also see that it's a very flirtatious time. It's like I think of like a woman like half cloaked and like, I don't know, just half looking at you, but half looking away. It's like a very mysterious time where you're kind of feeling your energy drawn in, but you still want, you know, to be looked at and things. And so this is the time to really start to slow down. There was so much energy in the summer, so it's slow down, declutter. So we also want to always think about bleeding time. We want to prepare for our bleeding time. So when you're bleeding, you want to have, you know, a safe, peaceful, clean, I emphasize clean environment to live in. So this is the time to, you know, declutter, take power naps, start to set healthy boundaries with people around you, reflect. So it's also like a great time to reflect, wow, what happened this past cycle, and what am I really excited to take with me to this next cycle, you know, just like to keep, oh, I really am glad I did this, I want to keep doing this. And also it's really the perfect time to think about, what am I ready to let go of? So this is the time where estrogen drops and progesterone rises. And what's happening in the psyche during this time is a lot that we haven't acknowledged or wanted to feel or kind of have been distracted by because of how much we were in the outer world comes up. So that's why you can, you know, a lot of anger, sadness, rage, really intense emotions. I mean, I just had my fall and it was like, I was just crying for 5 days. And I'm like, not like the whole time, but you know, it's like all this stuff comes up. I was just in total grief about the world. And I was like, where is this coming from? But it was like, oh, because I was so out in the world, I didn't have time to actually just sit and feel this. So it is that time to sit and feel and to really just connect with the energy of decomposing, I guess, and just, yeah, being with that. And like I said, orgasm really lifts your spirits during this time. So it's a beautiful time for making love and self-pleasure. And then we start bleeding again. And that's the cycle in a very short amount of, you know, time to say it. But we can also look at that during the day, right? So like sunrise is that spring, and then midday is the summer, and then evening is the fall, and then sleep is winter. Like I just take these teachings into my whole life, and it feels true for me because it's natural. It's actually nature's time. And yeah, I feel that to connect to that is to connect to the universe, is to connect to the truth, is to connect to nature and our true nature. And since that whole process, I mean, my cycle is like clockwork with nature. I don't have any pain. There's an honoring, there's an understanding, there's, you know, there's a deep connection. And, you know, that which is honored honors itself and feels honored. And so my prayer is, if you're listening to this and some of this felt new or it's like foreign, it's just to follow your curiosity and just also invite you to sit with right now, where am I in my cycle? And, you know, how can you maybe bring one of these things into your reality? So yes, if there are any questions or comments, I would love for that. Thank you for going on this brief journey with me.
Thank you, darling. I have a question for you. What ways do you recommend women to track their cycle so that they know like where they are?
Yeah, fertility awareness method. I would be happy to do a class on that. So everyone can look it up. It's the fertility awareness method. It's like 99.7% effective when done correctly. And it involves taking your temperature every day. So you use a basal body thermometer. It's a specific thermometer. You can get them anywhere. And it's very specific, the measurements. So you measure your temperature every morning before you do anything. So it just like roll over, take your temperature. And so your temperature is going to tell you where you are in your cycle. And so the things to notice is when we ovulate, our temperature goes up. So so when I'm the first half of my cycle, it's like I'm at like a 97 point whatever as my temperature. And then when I ovulate, it goes up to 98 and it kind of fluctuates, and then it'll go back down when you bleed. So that's the perfect way to test. And then the second thing is to check your liquids. So check your juices every day. And you can do that like first thing in the morning before you go to the bathroom or after. And you're basically checking to see if there's any cervical mucus. If there's no cervical mucus, like basically there's no white or any liquids or stringiness or anything, then you're not fertile. The sperm can only live in the vagina for 24 hours when you're infertile, and because the vagina is so acidic, and we're actually only fertile about 7 days roughly in our full cycle. A lot of people don't know that. So you just want to look for signs of ovulation, which is the cervical mucus, and then you want to wait. Once you know when you've ovulated, you want to wait like 3 days after that, and then you can start having sex. I mean, we can go into it a lot more. So I would recommend starting to take your temperature, check your liquids. Apps are great, but don't I would not recommend using that as your only way of checking your cycle, because we shift. Like sometimes I ovulate day 18, sometimes I ovulate day 14. Like the rhythm method is not like foul proof. But yeah, I would just start there. And if, it's so simple, but I would say if you do the fertility awareness, start and don't use it as your only method until maybe a few months, like 3 months, and you feel really comfortable and confident. And then it's like I said, 99.7% effective. So
amazing.
Yeah, I would love to do a lesson or teach during the 7 months about that, and get people, really connect. Like that's like really connected, and especially to the womb space and all the things around painful menstruation. And I'm just very passionate about all of that, and any womb kind of dis-ease, we can heal it all. So that's what I would start with. Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and just some real practical pieces in there for people to learn. And I think, it's so fascinating that, for women, we all do actually cycle, but for so many of us, we're not taught anything, and we just don't really have the knowledge. So that was such a beautiful share. I'm really grateful for you. And so anyone who has been watching and is loving what Isadora is sharing, obviously you can check her out on Facebook. I'm sure we've tagged her in everything, and on Instagram. So do go and follow her. She is one of the mentors in the Temple of Armella, which we start in, I think, like 10 days or something. So she is one of the mentors. So also, if you were really feeling drawn to Isadora's work, she will be doing a session through there. She will be doing a teaching session. All of the women will be. And then also they will be holding a group of women throughout the whole process. So, any of the women that you really tune into who are of the mentors, you could actually spend 6 months with them, mentoring throughout the whole period as well, throughout the whole program. So if you have really clicked with Isadora, and check out, I have finally put the link to the Temple of Armella and to what we're offering, all of us together. So you could also just come join and be in her pod and be mentored by her for 6 months along this amazing journey. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, darling. Deeply appreciate you. So that brings us to Zoe. Let me put you. Hello, my darling. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm actually really just enjoying reading, because what's on the website you've all written in your own words, and I'm actually really loving reading this. So I'm going to also read to you a little about Zoe. So Zoe Butler is a woman of depth, devoted to supporting others in understanding the unique language and power of their body. She holds a grounded, safe, and expansive space for others to connect deeply inward and bring forth the wisdom and the magic that lies beneath. She's a body whisperer, a sacred birth worker and doula, a womb spiral practitioner, and an intuitive photographer. Oh, struggled over that little word then. Intuitive. She's an intuitive photographer. And all of your work is amazing. I cannot wait one day to finally get a bodywork session with you and get you to take my photos. I need to be back in the same country as soon as possible. So I'm going to leave you all with Zoe. She's got some beautiful wisdom to share. So I'm going to leave you with it, darling. Thank you so much.
This is so exciting. I just want to say already, I'm learning so much, from everyone so far. And Isadora, I'm so excited to start implementing so much of that into my life. When you think that you're in tune with your cycle and your body, and then you hear that and you're like, oh, fuck, there's, sorry, swearing already. There's, so much more. And I was like, oh, I'm in my autumn. That makes sense. Okay. So thank you so much. I really took a lot away from that. And yeah, I'm just so excited to be with you guys today doing this, and with all the women or humans that are watching. And so I really sat with what I wanted to bring to today's call, because there's so much that I could go into and talk about. But one of my greatest passions, I think what inspires all of what I do, is supporting people in healing the relationship to their body and understanding the language of their body. So I call myself a body whisperer. I've been a massage therapist or body worker for 10 years, and my practice has developed a lot over that time. And so where I'm at now, last year, I was like, how can I describe what I do? Because it's not massage, it's not really body work, it is so much more than that. And so body whispering is what came to me, which actually really perfectly encapsulates what I do. Though even yesterday, somebody asked me, what do you like? Do you just whisper to my body throughout the session? And I'm like, no, it's not what I do. But it's kind of like a horse whisperer, but for bodies, I guess. It's I noticed very early on that I had a gift to connect to the body and to talk to it and to listen to what it has to say to me. And so what I learned, or have learned along the way, is that our bodies have such a unique language. They are always in communication to us. They are always speaking to us, but we're not taught how to be in union with our bodies in this way. We're not taught how to communicate with our bodies. We're not taught how to understand the language of our body. So when I'm working with humans and I'm working on their bodies, it's literally like a massage, but throughout that, depending on where I'm working and what I'm doing, is constant messages coming through from the body for me to then be able to communicate that to the person that I'm working with. And so what my goal is to help facilitate a deep conversation between a person and their body, and for them to be able to start to understand the language of their body and understand and listen to the voice of the body. And there are so many reasons why I feel that this is so important. But the number one reason is because we experience life, we experience everything here on this planet through the body, through our senses, through what we hear, through what we see, through what we feel physically or emotionally, through what we taste, like all of our senses. We're literally experiencing life through the body. And so when we're numb, or we're not connected to the body, or we don't have a good relationship to the physical body, that alters our experience of our self, of our relationships, of life. And so what I've come to know as my truth through the years of doing this work is that the body is like a map, and your physical body is such a reflection of what's happening internally. And I can tell a lot about a person by how they show up on the table. And depending on where you're holding tension or fatigue or illness or dis-ease or just whatever's happening in the physical body, like I said, the body is like a map, and different areas of the body are so deeply connected to different areas of self and different areas of life. And so what I really want to do on the planet is to connect people more deeply to their bodies, and to learn how to understand the language of the body, to learn how to communicate with the body, to stop numbing out to that so that they can experience life more fully. And the one thing that I really talk about with this is, when it comes to healing the relationship to your body, is to treat the relationship that you have with yourself and your body like you would with another person. Like I always say, if your relationship to your body, if that was a relationship between two people, what kind of relationship would it be? Like, how do you talk to each other? Do you spend alone time together? Do you spend time, undisturbed time with them? Are you romantic? Do you touch? Is there time for intimacy and space? Do you dedicate time to growing together, to learning together, to understand each other? Everything that a healthy, expansive relationship needs is also what we need with ourselves and with the body. And so, like, anybody watching this right now, I would ask yourself, what is the relationship, that I have with my body and with myself? And if that was between two people, how would I describe that relationship? Would I describe it as loving, as empowering, as healthy, as devotional, or is there some room for improvement? And so when I was thinking about this week and thinking about the womb spiral apprenticeship and the temple, I was thinking about how healthy relationships take time, and it's not an overnight thing. And just like you can't go away to a weekend event with your partner and fix your relationship, you can't just go to like a 2-day, event, spiritual event, and fix the relationship to yourself or master that either. It takes commitment, and it takes time, and it takes devotion. And that's one of the reasons why I really love the apprenticeship being 6 months. And every single week you have like a session, you have something that holds you accountable to healing this relationship, to deepening this connection and relationship, because it does take time. And I think that in a world where we're sort of hooked on instant gratification, I see that in the personal development world as well, where we want to commit to these weekend courses or 1-week trainings, and, it's all of a sudden we're a master, or it's more appealing to be able to do that. Whereas I knew when I committed to this, I wasn't going to be able to take a single person through this work for over a year. Like, I just I knew that's what, but it was worth that commitment. And so that's one thing I really wanted to speak to today, is like looking at the relationship to yourself and to your body as a relationship between two people, and what kind of relationship would it be, and where is there room for creating space to start creating a relationship that you would want with another person, with yourself, and being willing to commit and take time, and creating space for intimacy and connection and listening, deep listening. And so with what I've noticed since going through this process, like going through the womb spiral apprenticeship, is how I thought I was connected to my body before, but this was like a whole other level, like the deep journey into the gates and into the womb. Like my inner voice with my body has never been so clear. And I read a comment, I'm not sure who commented it. I think it might have been Alyssa, but she or somebody in the comments had written something in about, if you're somebody that's struggled with like a lot of trauma or a lot of anxiety, it's hard to trust your body. It's hard to, how do I know what my like inner voice is? How do I know when I have all of this anxiety, when I have like the internal state of the body and the nervous system is a reflection of the trauma that you've experienced. So how can I feel safe there? How can I trust that voice? How can I trust what's happening there? And what I found with this process is, like, when we were dropping into the womb activation, I literally, like, tears came, because they're probably going to come again. But when you dropped us into like the Earth's womb, I was like, this is where I feel my safest, like in my womb and in this space. And I think it makes me so emotional, because I know what not feeling safe in my body feels like. And this comes back to creating a relationship with yourself. If you've ever been in a relationship where you don't feel safe, where you're walking on eggshells, when there's like anxiety and like it's tangible, like that's often what a lot of us are living in within our own self and our own bodies. And so anybody that is experiencing that, like, I just want to speak to the fact that it starts with creating safety. And this has been the biggest thing that I've ever done in my life, to create such a deep sense of safety within my body. And in that safety is the clear voice. It is like, I can trust what's there. And so I just wanted to share that, because it was one of the biggest things that happened for me. But I saw that comment and it really, like, I really resonated with it. And so what I wanted to do today was kind of guide everybody into having a conversation with their body. Like, I have a lot of practices that I do, a lot of random things, but I wanted to guide like how you can use your body as a gateway for deeper conversation with the self, with the soul, with your inner wisdom. Because what I notice is that different parts of our body are really connected to different key areas of our life and ourselves. So I would encourage everyone to like have something that they can take notes on. If you don't, it's fine, but like pen and paper on your phone, laptop, because we're going to be using the body to help us generate some deeper wisdom from within. And so it's kind of, I like this practice is kind of like journal prompts, but with your body, like using your body as prompts for deeper information. And so when we start with this, like, I just want to pre-frame too, there's no right or wrong. And if this is new to you, then you might feel like oh, I'm not really getting much, or I can't hear anything, or nothing's coming up, and every experience today is perfect and fine. This is like, you know, if you were healing the relationship to your partner, the first time you go in for deep communication about something is not always going to be necessarily perfect or what you expect it to be, like, right. So it's just being open to whatever comes up. And sometimes I think, like, when we're working with this deep level of wisdom that the body holds, and we're like, what is, like, you know, connect to your womb, what is it telling you? Or so we're expecting like some voice that's not ours to be like, this is your womb and this is the thing. And it's not always like that either. Like, the wisdom can come in your own thoughts and come in your own voice. So you're like, am I making this up, or is this like, and I'm just encouraging you to trust the words that come through, the sensations that come through, to trust the voice that comes through, even if it's your own voice. When we connect to the body, it will speak to you. And I really trust you to, I really encourage you to trust that. So I'm going to do this as well for myself. And so get something, pen, paper, notes on your phone, whatever you need. But I'm just going to encourage everyone to close your eyes. And so with your eyes closed, just starting to bring awareness to the current state of your body. Noticing whether you feel relaxed, anxious, tired, inspired. There is no wrong or right. And so as you bring awareness to the state that you're in right now, you need to imagine that every single part of your body, every muscle, every joint, every organ, every limb has something that it can tell you, has something it can speak to you. That your soul communicates to you through the body. That life communicates to you through the body. It's just up to us as to whether we're listening or not. And so we're going to use the body as a guide. And we're just going to ask questions and see what comes up. And it might be random words, it might be a sentence, sensation. And so I encourage you now just to bring your hands to your eyes, so covering your eyes. And so feeling the coolness or the heat from your hands, connecting to the skin. And with your hands over your eyes, I want you to ask your eyes or yourself the question, what is it time for me to look at that I've been avoiding? What do I need to look at? And just trusting whatever comes up. Maybe a word, maybe nothing. If my body wanted me to know what it's time to look at, what would that be? And I just want you to write down whatever comes up for you. It might be something really clear, it might not be. If you feel like sharing in comments what comes up, you're more than welcome to. And then after you've finished writing that down, we're going to move our way down the body. So now we're going to bring our hands to the throat. And so just placing the hands over the throat. You know, there's a reason that the throat is affected by communication and expression. Why we get choked up when we want to cry. We might lose our voice when we're feeling fear. The energy of expression, communication lives here. It's the question I want you to ask yourself from this space. If I could communicate anything to anyone without consequence, if I could be free to say whatever I wanted to someone or to people or to the world, if I could communicate anything without consequence, what would that be? What am I dying to get off my chest? And if I could do it without consequence, what would I say? And just writing down again, if anything comes up for you. It's funny because like when I do that, there's like I just wrote in like capitals like this big angry like sentence that I might never ever communicate specifically, but that I don't want to be holding that. Like as soon as I dropped into that, I feel like, oh, I just want to like, ah. And I realize how much I hold sometimes when I do this practice that I'm not aware of. That is, you know, if it's not out in the world or down on paper or that energy hasn't exited the body, it's in the body. And it's going to stay there until we acknowledge or listen to it. So even I'm surprised by what comes out. Sitting here like, oh, it's probably going to be something really nice and gentle. And really, I'm just like, ah. So, just see. So from the throat, we're going to move our way down again. Oh, into the stomach, like solar plexus area, just below the rib cage. And so just feeling the connection of your hand to your stomach, over your clothes or on your skin. And so from this place, we're going to draw on a question that Jamy asked in her share about your power. And just inquiring, what is the fear around fully coming into my power? Right now, like, what is holding me back from being more in my power? What are my beliefs around what's going to happen when I fully own my power? Again, just notice if anything comes up for you. And just writing it down. And so I'm going to start bringing this practice to a finish. And we're going to finish with the feet. So I want you to first hold your left foot, if you're flexible enough. And if you can, like, feel your hands on the sole completely, do that, but just to the best of your ability, holding the left foot. And just feeling the connection of your hands to your foot. You know, our feet are responsible for keeping us upright and also for moving us forward. Our feet help us move aimlessly or in dance or in flow. They also help us move with structured walking and momentum and direction. When you're in connection to your left foot, just want you to ask yourself, where do I desire to be if I could step into a new reality? What would make the biggest impact? Forget what's realistic, what's not, and just asking yourself, your body, the question, where do I so deeply desire to be standing? Write down whatever comes up. And then when you're ready, come into the right foot. Feeling the connection of your hands to the right foot. Asking yourself the question, your body the question, what's the inspired action here? What is the next step that I could take to move towards that? What feels exciting, maybe a little scary, out of my comfort zone, but what is the action that deep down I know I need to take? I'll write that down. And so what I'm hoping that everybody was able to experience is that your body has a voice, that your body holds wisdom, it holds messages, and that healing the relationship to yourself and your body means creating a relationship that you would want to have. And we actually have to stop and create the time for that. We have to create the space, just like you would in any relationship. And starting just with a conversation on like a daily basis is a really beautiful way to initiate that connection and a deeper relationship to the body. And so, yeah, I would encourage everybody here to just reflect on the relationship you currently have. And if this was a relationship between two people, between you and a lover or a partner, what would need to happen in order for it to be more fulfilling, to be more devotional, for you to feel like in deep sacred union with this person, which is you, which is your body. And you can use that practice. I use it all of the time, especially in moments where I feel like I don't have time and I'm like scattered as fuck. Is like, cool, let me doof, 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 doof. And you can use more body parts, like let your body guide you, because sometimes you might wake up and you might be like, fuck, my hip is sore or whatever. Well, just before you do anything, at least ask your body, like, what's happening here? Is this something I need to look at here? And yeah, that's what I wanted to share today. So I'm going to leave it there and back.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I got a lot out of that. It's like, oh, a relationship with my body. Like, of course, I didn't think about that. I've like really like, you know, I had this inner lover thing with my masculine and feminine. We all know that piece, but I'm like, oh, and my body. So I am definitely going to be putting that into practice like immediately. So thank you so much for the wisdom with that. And I think I was definitely reasonably shocked by some of the things that came out with each piece of my body. So that was such a beautiful process and a journey. Thank you so much for sharing that piece of wisdom with us. Like like I've been saying the whole way through, like Zoe Butler is also one of the mentors in the Temple of Armella. So she will be teaching a session throughout that 6 months. And she also will be one of the mentors. So she's holding a group throughout the entire 6 months as well. So if you feel like you have connected with what Zoe's saying, please make sure that you, if you don't already follow her on the socials. But also you might want to consider looking at the link I've already put here for courses at the templeofarmella.com, and check out the offering that we have that's starting in 10 days, I think it is. And yeah, maybe you want to come and join us and be in Zoe's group for that as well. So thank you so much, darling. Appreciating you and your time. Leaves us with Brigitte. There she is. Amazing. Just every time I see you on screen, I get this. It's like just I think it's the wildness of the hair and stuff. I love it. It's fantastic. Like I want to go running through the bush naked somewhere with you or something like that. That's the sense that I get. So I am also going to read where are we? I'm going to read about Brigitte. So Brigitte is here in dedication to the reawakening of all women from their ancient slumber. She holds sacred ground for the feminine, for women who have experienced hysterectomy, miscarriage, inability to birth, and postnatal depression in a guided, safe space. She invites you to explore a gateway to your feminine wisdom and your capacity for creation. She's an artist, an art therapist, a mentor, an end-of-life doula, ancestral and spiritual midwife, guardian of the fires, and a womb spiral practitioner. So Brigitte, thank you so much for coming and joining. You're on mute, so make sure that you unmute yourself and bring your beautiful divine wisdom in here with us. Thank you, darling.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just, oh wow, it's so delicious to be here, and thank you. I have learned so much in the time that I've been here. So thank you, Jamy, Zoe, and Isadora. Just wow, I have so many like amazing little tips here. I'm very, very, very grateful. And I feel like having Zoe just before me was such a beautiful segue into what I want to share with you today. My piece was around the Wormless Woman and how the womb spiral reconnected me into my body, or into myself, into reclaiming myself. So yes, I am a woman who doesn't have a womb, and I truly believe that my womb led me here to this piece. And when I look back in my lifetime, I feel like my womb has always had me on this pathway. That little piece that Isadora shared about women that bleed from 7 days over, I have always been one of those women, until obviously I lost my womb. And so I never had that piece of knowledge. And I guess if I'd had that piece of knowledge many moons ago, you know, who knows what would have been. But I didn't, and here I am. And so, and that piece happened 6 years ago, nearly 6 years ago in June. And for me, that took me on an incredible journey. And the womb spiral came to me after I heard I heard Bella, who is a womb spiral practitioner. She said the word womb spiral, and I said, I want that. And that was it. That's exactly how it happened. There was something about womb and spiral together. It was just, I'm in, just tell me where to go and who I need to speak to, and I'll be there. And that little piece that Zapheria shared about her and I also felt the same thing. It was like there was just no question about me being here and how that was going to look, how everything else was going to work out around me. I just kind of knew in the depths of my soul this was going to happen somehow. And so I just want to go back to this piece. I remember, I think it was on one of the first calls, or maybe Zapheria and I had actually connected on a call, and she said to me, I wonder what your magic will be. I can feel it. And I remember getting off that call going, what on earth was she talking about? Because I don't know what she's talking about. But I remember it being with me, and I remember knowing that there was something, but I didn't know where it was going to go or where it was going to lead me. And so, which leads me to a conversation that I had yesterday with a woman who's just had surgery. She's just had a hysterectomy. And she said to me, you know, Brigitte, I can't conceptualize what has happened. How am I going to feel? Like, what's going to happen with that whole area? It's empty. Like, how is that all going to be? And I remember that feeling myself, going, how am I going to connect into that place? How am I going to, what's going to happen down there? But what I came to realize was that actually, whether I have my womb or I don't, what the universe or what was created was that I was given the opportunity to refill this void with the most authentic things that I wanted, that I dreamt of, that I was needing in my world, that I never had the courage to do or to say or to be. And so that's my stepping stone into the womb spiral, into connecting into this incredible space, void, place within our bodies. And connecting into this place has allowed me to deal with lineage trauma, physical trauma, and has allowed me to move forward and release so much. I felt like I had been carrying this burden, and I could never describe in my life what that felt like. I just felt it. And I guess some people out there who know me would never have really known what that looked like or what that was. It was just something that sat inside me. And in some ways, I could never really articulate what that was. But I'm reminded as I'm speaking to you about a session I had one day with a woman, and she used a crystal over my head, a pendulum. And she looked at me and she said, you know, Brigitte, I've seen a lot of women in my time, but I've never had a pendulum that sat still like that. And as I'm speaking about that, it reminds me of how much I had ignored myself, how much I had really allowed the importance of other people before myself. And I know in my heart of hearts that if I set a pendulum over my head right now, it would be spinning, because I have such a deeper connection into my intuition, into my knowledge, into my knowing, because of my connection into this space. And I am deeply, deeply, deeply grateful for that. And what that has allowed me to do is to have a greater connection to what I need, a greater connection into finding a connection with my voice and what it is I need to do in the world, what it is I need to share in the world. And one of the things that's come to me very, very recently, and I'm so incredibly, I'm like, oh my gosh, have I actually come to this place? I would never have imagined, like that day that I sat with Zapheria and she talked about my magic, I would never have come to this place and thought, oh my gosh, but I actually am here to really support women through their grief and their loss, and to find their voice and to be able to express that safely, and to have a place where it's never too much to be, to speak, to show up in the world how you really are. And that deep connection to myself and to my womb space, and to reconnecting all the little fibers like a tapestry in my womb space, you know, reconnecting them in all the different ways, has really allowed me to be able to come to that place and speak the unmentionables, speak the things that women don't want to speak about because they're too afraid. And I know that place. I have felt that place for a really long time. And so connecting into the womb has really allowed me to go, yes, the depth of that grief, the depth of loss, the depths of the depths of the darkness is actually okay. It's actually a safe place to be if we're held in the right way, if we're held in the way that women have been held for centuries, in women's circles, in women's red tents, in communities, in tribes. And I can feel it in the world. Women are calling that space back in. I mean, I look now on my screen and I'm here with women who want this space, who want to call this in for women. And it's just been longing and calling for so long. And I feel like we're here. This is the space. This is the space for it to be nurtured and to be encouraged and to be loved and supported and needed and wanted, and that every woman, including myself, all the women on this screen and all the women out there, you listening, your voice is important, and we want to hear what you want to share. And I know that space of feeling insignificant and not feeling important enough within myself. And that space was nurtured through the womb spiral, and also giving myself permission to heal what needed to be healed, to take care of my inner child. My inner child has been a very big piece of my journey within the womb spiral. And so she's with me always. And I nurture her and I care for her. And I know when she's misbehaving, I'm feeling agitated and angry, and I kind of want to lash out at everybody else around me. I know that I need to come back to myself. I need to take care of myself. I need to listen to what it is I'm saying to everybody else and speak it to myself. That is the potency of being within the womb space, is being able to come back to that voice and being able to come back to what is true for us. And the segue of having Zoe before me was that coming back to the body, coming back to ourselves, coming back to our essence, our potency, and knowing that when we're in this space, it's safe. We are safe. We are held. And I speak to mothers often about taking care of ourselves means we can take care of our live children. And when we're taking care of ourselves, we're taking care of our inner child, we're taking care of our adult self, and then we're able to be more available to care for our babies, to care for our little ones, and be more present and open and available for them and for ourselves and for our partners and for our relationships and for the women and the people we want to hold in our world. And so in many ways, it's like I've conceived myself. I have rebirthed myself. And that has been an incredible, potent, challenging, amazing, magical, incredible experience. And learning to trust myself, learning to be in my flow, trusting my flow, trusting my body, trusting my cycles. You know, as Isadora shared there about our cycles and about trusting where we are in our bodies and where we are in our flow in the world. And one of the really potent pieces that I feel I received when I lost my womb was trusting myself, trusting, feeling the flow of where my body is, and really, as I no longer have a physical cycle, as in bleeding, I have to really tap into myself and really know where it is I am in my cycle. Where am I? What am I listening to? What voice am I connecting into when I'm in that space of being overwhelmed? Who is present right now? And when I'm settled in myself, who is present right now? Who can speak from those places? And so connecting into my knowledge, into my wisdom, being in awareness, and just being more available for myself brings me more present within myself, and then so present to the women that I want to support. And so having this availability within me has then given me the passion and the confidence to create so that I can support women, create programs, create sacred circles, create sacred space, and so that women can feel this space and women can feel held and know what that feels like if they've never ever felt that in their whole entire lives. And so my invitation to you is to just come back to your womb space, and maybe even just bring your hand down now to your womb space, and perhaps even take a moment just to close down your eyes and just breathe into this incredible gift that we have all been given. No matter what gender you sit in, this space is available. And just breathing into this space and just imagining that this ancient being is always with you and always has something to offer you. It's always waiting for us to connect into here, to connect into our bodies, and to connect into our soul, our wisdom, our knowledge. And just really trusting this space just for a moment, even more than a moment, a few moments. I know for myself, when I'm in those anxious places, in those places where I am not supporting myself, where I can't contain my energy any longer, that I can't focus, if I come back to this place of wisdom and really allow myself the space to listen. Who is here? Who wants to share? What is it that's being spoken to me in this way, that it's showing up in this anxiety, in this overwhelm, in this lack of connection to my body and to myself, in places where I can't even articulate words? Who is present? Who is trying to come through, that wants my attention so badly that I am manifesting this creation of not being able to connect to myself? And so my invitation is, if you can take a moment every day, it doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter where it is. It's just it's waiting for you, for me, for every woman, every person, every man, every creature on the planet, to tap into this space and to tap into the knowing and the wisdom of what it is we are here to share in the world. And just breathing into that space and allowing yourself to be held by you. And it's in those moments of silence we notice the sensations in our body, the tingling, words might come present, color. You might see things, you might hear voices, or you just might relish in the silence. Mm.
I just realized that I was doing like a off the screen, like, especially for you, and no one else would have known what was going on. So I was speaking it with you then. I forgot there was anyone else here except for just you and I. Oh, that was so delicious. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. One, you know, which I've shared with you a million times, but I'll also share with the people watching, like, one of the reasons that I'm so excited that you're joining us in the Temple of Armella is that transmission that you bring for the women who don't have a womb, and for those women who have experienced great loss in their life. And I feel like you're holding a pillar for women to see and understand that it's, yes, there is obviously the physical loss that happens when any part of our physical body is taken, but that through the other side of that, like, your connection now to your womb is so much greater than it was when you had a physical womb. And I feel like you're holding such an important pillar in this work for those women, because there are so many women, and I think more women than any of us even know, because so many don't speak about it.
Yeah, it's just those unmentionables that nobody wants to talk about. And I realized I was one of those people, and I just came to this place where I just went, so grief and loss, like, we need to speak about this. It's really important because it supports us on our journey to moving forward, to being more of who we are. And yeah, so I'm not sure if there are any questions or anything that anybody wanted to know about, or
I got lost on the comments myself because there's so much going on, and it's so beautiful. To the women who are all in the page, by the way, and commenting, like, please keep on commenting and keep your shares coming, because it's really, really beautiful to feel the energy that's happening. Like, those who are watching this within the event page, the energy that's happening in there is just really beautiful at the moment. I've shared it to a number of different places as well. I'm trying to check all the different comments, but I'm enjoying just this energy actually of us as a group of women coming together. And it seems to be, I apologize if there are men commenting and I haven't seen it, but it seems to be like a group of women who are commenting as well. So I feel like we're creating this beautiful space. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else has seen any specific questions for Brigitte, but I just like the energy that's building in there is really incredible. One of the questions that I wanted to ask you is, if a woman is in that place of, like, she's just either coming to terms with the fact that she is going to lose her womb, or she has only just, what is something that she could do that, like, it might even only be something small, but what is something that she could do to just start to heal from that experience?
So one of the practices that I did is I began a gratitude practice for my womb. It was very hard to connect to the fact that I was going to lose my womb, and then somehow or other wired up in my mind, I had that I was not going to be a woman, or not that I wasn't going to be a woman. It's like, how would I be in that feminine space? Like, what it was like being in the void, and I couldn't. It was so, you can't conceptualize. It's like that conversation I had with that woman yesterday. She couldn't conceptualize how all the fibers were going to come back together again. She couldn't conceptualize that. And so what I began was this gratitude process. I began gratitude for what my womb had given me. I began speaking how grateful I was that I was able to have a cycle, that I actually had a womb. That was my very first piece. And then that I was actually given the gift of being able to bleed, that I was actually given the gift of being able to cycle, that I was given the gift of being able to conceive, just conceive alone, that I was able to, be given the gift of being able to birth 3 births, and then being able to even be in the position where I could actually be on the other side of having gratitude for all of that, and then being able to then give up my womb so I could allow an availability for something new to be birthed within me.
Yeah.
And that was my practice, and I practiced it a lot. And I'll never forget that the surgeon came in just before I was about to have my surgery, and he said, "I've had the most amazing morning of surgery." And I know this sounds really weird for me to share this, but I just came into that surgery with such an openness and such gratitude for everything that I had received from my womb. And there just felt like there was this lightness. And the nurse said to me, "I've never met a woman who's at peace and not in tears and in just a blithering mess from going into this process, going into this surgery." And I put the work in. I really, really did. And gratitude and light and love for myself really took me to that place. Really, really took me to that place. And I believe that even if a woman hasn't birthed, it's all the cycles and all the learnings from each cycle and everything that has come from the womb is our greatest gifts. And like I said earlier, if we take the time to notice and to be with that, even if it's a short time and you're having a surgery and you just know now about this piece, even if you spend a day, it's the consciousness, it's the awareness of being in that space that's the biggest gift.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your wisdom and for speaking about a topic that's not often spoken about. I really deeply honor you for that and for your bravery for that and for what that brings to other women. So anyone who's been listening and is really connecting with Brigitte, please make sure that you follow her on all of the socials. But also she is one of the mentors for the Temple of Armella. So especially if you're a woman who already has had her womb removed, or you know that is going to happen, you may choose to want to be in her group to be mentored by her for the 6 months through this program. She will also be bringing a teaching in at some point during that 6 months as well. And you don't have to have been losing your womb to feel a connection to Brigitte, by the way. That's just like one of the things. But if you're feeling a connection to her, please do make sure that you check out. I've put the link, courses.thetempleofarmella.com, and you can check out the offerings that all of us are bringing to you in 10 days time. We start. So yeah, please do check that out. And please do also just check Brigitte out directly. And I'm sure you can always also reach out to her, as with any of the other women, if you've got any other questions, or if you've got anything that you feel uncomfortable to put as a comment on the thread. And actually, like, I can see the other women nodding as well. Like, if there's something that you're uncomfortable, put as a comment on the Facebook publicly, reach out and private message any of us if there's a question that you have, that, because sometimes some of these topics are a little bit like you might not want to share it with everybody on a public Facebook forum. So we're all here to answer any of those questions for you. Thank you so much for your time today, Brigitte, and thank you so much for being part of the Temple of Armella.
I actually just want to say, Zapheria, I'm so grateful. That question you asked me has sat with me for all my time, and that really was, it was there, and it's always been there, and it's always been at the back of my mind, and so it's kind of trickled its way in, and I'm forever grateful for that.
Amazing. I love it. Sometimes it's the one question that we ask people. It's the one little piece that sparks something. So my pleasure. Thank you, darling.
Thank you.
So that must mean that we're up to me. So what I want to bring to all of you is to support you in activating your own womb temple, and also just starting to allow you to realize that you are already a temple, that you are already connected to the temples, to the temple, the energy of the temple, that your womb space is a divine sacred portal to that temple as well. There are so many layers and so many aspects to me of what temple means. And it's so interesting living here in Bali, because I I mean, I'm living in a community where everybody's going to temple almost every day. Like I live in this beautiful little village in Bali. And when I drive in and out of this village, I go past 4 temples just on the way out of my street. It's quite fascinating. And so I'm constantly around this energy of the sacredness of what is temple. But often when I speak about temple, people think about, I guess, different religious aspects of temple. And what I would like to bring to you is that I deeply honor each of those. Like there are a couple of different religious aspects that go to temple, that call their house of worship temple. And the temple has a very long history. And the temple that I feel and the temple that I connect to is not connected into a specific religious aspect. What it's connected into is that there is an energy that is so much greater than us. There is, especially through the feminine, there is the ability for us to connect to the mystery. The feminine is the mystery. She is the mystery, and she is also the key to the temple. And there are so many different ways we can look to this. We could look back to, the times in Egypt and the temples in Egypt, and how actually what used to happen is the men who had gone off to war, they would come back and they would go to the temple and they would be tended to by the women in the temple, and they would be loved by the women in the temple. And the reason that they would go there, their whole family knew that they would be going there to see these priestesses and the high priestesses, was to be brought back into a space of love, was to be brought away from the wounds and from the atrocities that they had seen and the things that they had experienced in their life, and was to bring them back into wholeness, back into their heart, back into the realization that they can heal. To me, one of the biggest aspects of the temple is that we are all able to tune in and connect to it. The temples are returning right now. The energy of the temples are returning very, very strongly. There are many people across the entire planet right now that are working with the temples and reactivating this energy. And it's about us coming back to wholeness. It's about us being able to bring back soul alignment to this body. Because reality is, for the majority of us, when we have been born into this lifetime, we have not been born fully connected to our soul. There are very, very, very few people that have come into this lifetime and are like, oh, I know that I have this body and I also have full connection to my soul, and I communicate with my soul, and I live a fully soul-led and on purpose life. It's very unusual. The majority of us are on this path of what you would hear people call awakening. To me, it's really a path of reconnecting, of discovering, of emerging, of this continuous emergence of our own soul. That is the path, to me, of where we see people who are awakening or on a spiritual journey. So that is beyond any particular, when I speak of temples here, obviously they're going to the temple for religious purposes, but it's same thing. They're going to find wholeness. They're going to be in a space of sacredness. So for us, it's how do I bring my soul fully into alignment with this body in this lifetime? How do I start to live a sacred life, and to start to understand that there is something greater, but also I am something greater than I even give myself credit for. And this is the big piece, when Jamy was sharing about stepping into your power, and it's like, there's this big leap, and then there's like, okay, and then there's another big leap. It's a similar experience when we go on this path of awakening. It's like, if we suddenly, and some people do, and that's the psychosis experience that some people have, is a very rapid awakening, and it can be very scary for people. But for the majority of us, we're having these leaps of time where we awaken and we awaken and we awaken, and we start to understand more about who we are, why we're here, what's our soul's purpose, how do we follow it. For me, that's the entire reason that I exist. The reason that I do Womb Spiral is because I watch it support women in firstly connecting more to, like, oh, I have a body. For a lot of us, it's even like, what? I'm so up in here. I didn't even know I had this. So firstly, they're starting to connect to, oh, I have I have this body. And then they're starting to connect to, oh, and it has feeling and it has sensation and it has pleasure, and it's okay for me to experience pleasure. In fact, it's my birthright to experience pleasure. And oh, I have this amazing, incredible portal that's sitting within my own body that I can start to access my womb, which allows me now to truly become the mystery, to access the mystery, to become the void, the cosmic womb, to start to connect into the earth womb, the cosmic womb, my own womb. And the path that starts to awaken in humans when we begin to do that is mind-blowing. And so when you sit and you listen to, for example, all the amazing women that have been sharing today, who have all been on this path, and other women that I have witnessed coming through Womb Spiral as well, there's something about them that, and you might not necessarily always know what they've done, but there's something about them. They stand out more in the world. They stand up more for what they believe in. They speak more openly. They're probably pushing some edges that for some people are a little uncomfortable because they're more happy to talk quite openly. It's because they're connecting more into their soul and their soul's purpose. So for me, temple is, how do we come back to wholeness in this body? How do I come into wholeness with my soul and start to understand that I am something so much greater than I allow myself to see? And when I do that, how can I connect more into my soul's purpose to start to truly live unapologetically? Of like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm here for, and I'm going to move forward with that. And it's about bringing all different aspects of ourselves home, the masculine, the feminine, all of it, starting to see that I am everything. I am every single aspect that I can see in the world, and I am none of it simultaneously. So when you look back to the history of temple, and we use Egypt as an example in this one, of the men going to the temple to see the priestess, what they were doing was they were going to the feminine to allow her to tend to all the broken pieces of them and to bring all those broken pieces back into wholeness, so that they could go out into the world in love, so they could go back to their families in love. So what I would love to do is to guide you in a process to connect a little more to your own womb temple, body temple, and perhaps you might even start to feel a sense of the temple. And the temple is this energy that you can tune into and feel. It is there all the time. It's not a place that you need to go to. It is a place that you need to decide to remember that it is there, and to reconnect into it, because we forget that it is there, but it is always there. So if you're in a space where you are able to close down your eyes, I'm going to take you on a journey. If you're in a place where you can't, that's okay too. Just keep on listening, tuning in as best as you can, and maybe you'll want to come back later and fully drop into this. So I can just get you to close down your eyes. And what I'd like you to do is to keep hearing my voice, but to pull your energy back from the screen, because when we're watching or listening to anything on the screen, our energy goes into it. So what I'd like you to do is you can keep hearing my voice, but just setting the intention and pulling your energy back from the screen, back from the device into your own body. And if you're aware of anybody else's energy in your field, in your space, perhaps it's just through thoughts or you can feel them, you can just gently send that energy back. So what we're doing is we're just bringing you into wholeness of yourself for a moment. So as best as you can, just anyone else's energy or attention that is on you, just gently letting that energy go back to them. That's it. And so we're just going to take 3 breaths here, continuing that intention of each breath that you take in is connecting you more deeply to yourself. And each breath that you take out is releasing and letting go any other energy that's in your field. That's it. Beautiful. So as we've been doing a few times in this session, I'm going to ask you to bring your attention back to your womb space. You may want to place your hands on your womb space. You may just want to bring your attention and your breath down into the womb. And no matter what current felt sense that you have, I wonder if you can just start to connect into the magnitude of the magic that is the womb. This place that has the ability to create life on a physical sense. This place that also allows us to cycle, just like the earth cycles, just like nature cycles, just like we live within cycles. Our womb allows our own experience in our own body to be deeply connected to cycles. And I wonder if you can start to connect to the fact that here within your womb is the deepest of the feminine mysteries, is in fact the keys to all of the feminine mysteries. Lays right here within your own womb space. Just waiting for you to connect, waiting for you to activate, waiting for you to remember that these sacred keys are yours. And so for a moment, I'm going to ask you to bring your attention to your yoni lips, your vagina lips. And if you want to in your inner space too, you're welcome to cup your hand, but you may just want to bring your attention, your awareness to this place, which is the first gate of the womb. And see if you can see or feel or know that these yoni lips are in fact the entrance to a temple. So you might see temple gates. You might just feel that there is one there, or just know that your yoni lips, your vagina lips sitting there are the entrance to a temple. Great. Oof. And so we're just going to now imagine that you had a key to this entrance, that you were able to open this entrance to the temple with a special key. So you may see a key, there may be a key in your hand, there may be a key in your womb. And on that key it says trust. And so in whatever way feels right for you, just use that key that says trust on it to gently open this gate to the temple. That's it. And as you've gently opened that gate to the temple, you can see just inside the temple there is a vessel of water. And so allow yourself to step forward into the temple and stand in front of this vessel of water. This is the sacred feminine waters. This is representative of the second gate of the womb, of your own G-spot. The place that holds our connection to the feminine mysteries, to all of our intuition, to the memory of all time, for every single place that that particle of water has been, that we are able to connect to it. And so as you stand in front of this vessel of water, allow yourself to anoint yourself with this water. And you may on your physical body feel a sensation or a connection to your G-spot, or you may not. Whatever is happening in your experience is perfect. Just allowing yourself to anoint with this sacred water. And as you do, you become aware of another key. Just recognize and acknowledge wherever that key comes from you. And notice that on that key, it says gratitude. Beautiful. And so now we're going to use that key that says gratitude to allow yourself to step beyond the vessel of water. It's like before you weren't able to step beyond that vessel of water, but now that you have this key, you're able to step beyond. And as you step beyond the vessel of water, you see ahead of you a beautiful goddess head. So she may be a whole big statue, she may be a head on an altar, just recognizing and noticing however she shows up for you. And this beautiful goddess head, she is representative of the third gate of your clitoris, the place that holds pleasure. And see for a moment if you can tune in, perhaps you can sense and be aware of your own clitoris. But even beyond that, can you sense and connect into the fact that the feminine holds the keys to pleasure, that the feminine body is able to experience ecstatic pleasure throughout her entire body, that in fact she has this place that was created in her body simply for her pleasure. And as you allow yourself to realize that, can you drop into the awe and reverence of all of these nerve endings that happen in a woman's body, specifically so that she can experience pleasure? And as you start to tune into that sense of pleasure and you see this goddess head in front of you, can you allow yourself to feel a sense of devotion? Devotion to the feminine, devotion to pleasure, devotion to something greater. And as you're starting to tune into devotion or reverence, you notice that you have another key. Notice where it comes from, maybe what it looks like or feels like. And on this key, it says devotion. And notice now that as you have this key that says devotion, that there is a place on this goddess head for you to put the key. Perhaps for you, it's to put a key in and turn it. Perhaps it's to place it on it. And as you do, this goddess head gives you access to move beyond and further and deeper into this temple. That's it. Now starting to bring your attention to your own cervix. You may actually feel it or sense it within your own body. You may bring your attention to where it is. Perhaps for you in front of you, there is a visual representation of what is the cervix. That's it. And so this incredible place where that opens to allow a child come through, this is the place where we start to reset our stories, to reset ourselves back to original innocence. This space is where, in fact, we hold all the keys to our entire lineage, all the way back until this story around us not being innocent was created. And so for yourself, take a pause here and allow any visuals, any words to appear for you that would represent innocence. And can you start to see or become aware of the fact that your own body, your own pleasure is divine innocence? And imagine that you can even allow your body to vibrate innocence. That's it. And as you do, as you vibrate this innocence, as you become aware of innocence, noticing now that you are being gently pulled deeper into the temple. It's like there's a magnetism that is calling you forward to go even further inside this amazing temple. And here you arrive at the center center of this temple. Allow yourself for a moment to take a look around. See what it looks like, what it feels like, right here in the middle of the temple. And as you stand here in the middle of the temple, I'm going to ask you a question. What is your womb longing for? What is your womb longing for? Allow her to give you any answers, sounds, words, visuals. And notice as she starts to give you the answers that there are pillars that are arriving in this space of the center of the temple. Big, beautiful pillars. Floor to ceiling. See if you can notice what color they are or what texture they are. And see if you can begin to notice that you are a pillar of the temple. That your entire body, in fact, holds from floor to ceiling the pillar of a big, beautiful temple. And in all of those other pillars around the temple are other amazing, powerful women all around the world that are also holding pillars of temples. See if you can see them or feel them. And as you do, notice that your own body is starting to open, activate, awaken into the realization that you do hold a pillar of the temple. In whatever way that appears for you, you may also start to sense the other women who have been sharing with you in this space today as they stand and hold a pillar in the temple. You may become aware of other energies all around the world holding different pillars of different temples. Just noticing what it feels like in your body. Does your body feel the same size as normal? Does your body suddenly feel bigger than normal? Does it feel stronger than normal? Does it feel brighter than normal? Just be aware that the access to this temple lays right within your own womb. That the access to the remembrance that you are a temple keeper, that you are a pillar of the temple, that you do have the keys to the temple within your own womb. All of those mysteries right here within your own being. Not anything that you need to go and source outside of yourself, not that you need to go to any specific place, not that you need to go to any particular building, that it's right here, that all of it is just waiting to be awakened, that all of it is just waiting for the people to show you where to find the keys, for people to show you how it is that you can awaken this aspect of yourself. Just starting to bring your attention now to your own heart. And just noticing how your heart is right now. Nothing you need to do or change, just become aware of the heart. Maybe for you, it's a pulsing light in the middle of this temple. Maybe for you, it's a blossoming flower. Maybe for you, it's quiet. Maybe for you, it's big. Just noticing. Can you now begin to be aware of both your heart and your womb simultaneously? Both sitting here within your body. The womb having the ultimate power to show you the greatest of your gifts, to show you what it is that you are here for, to show you access to all of the great mysteries. And your heart being the place that will lead you and guide you to do so with love. The place that will guide you to be connected to your deepest soul's purpose, to be connected to your greatest gifts, to your greatest power, to every single aspect of yourself, the places that absolutely terrify you to awaken into. That your heart is the one that will lead you to do it from a heart-centered space, to always be coming with the heart first. And so just notice the two, heart and womb, womb and heart. That's it. You may want to place a hand over your heart, a hand over your womb. And see if you can start to bring your breath into the womb and out of the heart. Then into the heart, out of the womb. Just at your own pace, breathing one into the womb, out of the heart, into the heart, out of the womb, following your own pace with that rhythm. Just allowing that as you're doing those breaths, the heart and the womb to begin to connect. That's it. And as you keep doing that breath, I have a question for you. To sit in this space and contemplate. When you allow yourself to fully connect to your own soul's purpose, to the full greatness of who you are, to the full purpose of why you are even here on this planet, and to bring every single aspect of yourself forward, what will that give you? What will that give you? Beautiful. Can you allow yourself to fully receive that? If there is any aspect of yourself that is feeling like, but I can't, that's too much. Just imagine that you can gather up that part of yourself that is scared and place it in your womb and ask yourself the same question. When I fully step into my soul's purpose, when I fully step into everything that I am here for, when I allow myself to be in my absolute greatness, what will that give me? Yeah. And then what will that give the people around me, my family, my friends, my community? When I fully step into my soul's purpose and my calling and own who I am, what will that give to my loved ones, to the people around me? Then we're going to take that bigger. What will that then give the world? What does that give humanity? When you truly allow yourself to step into all that you are and the greatness of who you are, and to fully receive that, and it impacts all of your friends and family and everybody around you, and then that ripples out into the world. What does that give the world? What does that give humanity? Yeah. So when you can see it from that aspect and from that viewpoint of what that gives others, of what that gives the world, then who are you to not step into your greatness? Who are you to keep that aspect of yourself from your friends, your loved ones, your family, your community, the world? And when you look at it that way, the fear that you feel around truly stepping into all that you are, does it actually matter? Or can you feel that fear and step forward anyway into who you are? So I'm going to get you to just now scan through your body and just feel any places in your body that feel in resistance, that feel in fear, just honoring them. Nothing that they have to do to change. Just like, oh, I feel that part in my chest that feels scared, or I feel that part in my tummy that feels scared, or whatever's there. Just scanning. They don't have to go away. They don't have to be released or cleared. They don't have to change. Just noticing. Beautiful. And so we're just going to take 3 breaths here that are some grounding breaths. So you may want to place your hands on your body or move your body or feel your feet on the ground. Just take 3 beautiful breaths, allowing you to come back into this moment, back into reality, back into where you are right now, back into this space with all of us. Whew. And as you do, if you feel to share, it would be beautiful if you shared in the comments, like what came up for you, what happened in that experience for you, what does that give you when you fully step into your soul's gifts and your soul's purpose? What does it give you? What does it give others? What does it give the world? Whatever you feel inspired to share, I would love to read that in the comments. And so I'd love to say to you, it's time to do that. I cannot express to you enough how much it is time to step into the greatness of who you are. You are so much greater than what you give yourself credit for. There is so much more to you than you have even been able to see yet. It's all within you. You are a divine soul who is having this human experience in this funny bag of flesh that we all walk around in, and you just forgot for a while who you are. And that is part of the journey, is we are supposed to forget. We need to come in so that our soul can have this very wild, bumpy ride of being a human and learn all of the lessons that it is that we want to learn. But then we get the opportunity to start to awaken and become more connected to our soul. So whatever it is for you, like the whole entire purpose of the Temple of Armella being born is for that. Maybe you're feeling the call to us. Maybe you're just feeling the call to awaken. Whatever way it is for you, it doesn't matter. There's no right way or wrong way to start to follow the journey. All I really want to say to you from my heart is that it is time to start to awaken and find the people that you feel connected to support you on that path. If that happens to be us, if that happens to be the 5 of us that have been speaking to you today, and if it happens to be the Temple of Armella, you will know it, you will feel it. It's beyond anyone telling you anything about it. You will just feel it. And so we are all here. I'm going to put all of the women back on the screen with me. That is what we are doing. That is our purpose for the 5 of us here, is to provide a platform, is to provide a pathway, is to provide a space for, at the moment, it's women. It will awaken next year to a broader range, but right now it's to women who are on this path of awakening and who want to do it with other women, who want to be held by other women, supported by other women, guided by other women who understand what it is to be on this path and understand every single step of it, because it's not always easy, and every woman on this call has had her own challenges around awakening this, and that's why they're here, is to be able to give you the loving support and guidance around what their experience has been. Hence why there are 5 of us, hence why there's not just one person. You get to have this experience of so many different people who have walked this path. If you do feel the call to come and join us, you can reach out and message any of us privately. I have put the link for courses.thetempleofarmella.com onto the comments. You're always welcome to voice message me. I would love to say sometimes people say they feel a little scared to reach out. I am very approachable. It's okay to message me. And you can message and ask anything. It's not like, oh my God, if I message her, do I then have to do the temple or do a sales thing? I'm not interested in that. What you will receive from me and from all of the other women as well is just support and guidance for you to feel if it's the path for you. And if it's the path for you, we are here with open arms. If it's not the path for you, maybe we can support you in finding what it is. But either way, we will lovingly support the fact that you're even open to finding your own path. Please do make contact with all of these women on their Facebook pages. We'll also put their Instagram links into the comments as well. They all hold such an incredible amount of wisdom, as you have already heard, and they are all exceptionally generous in the fact that they just want to support, and they're here in service of other people on this path. And all these women are extremely approachable. So please follow them. Please follow what they're doing in the world, because they're doing amazing things. If you feel called to womb spiral, also they are all womb spiral practitioners. Actually, if you're feeling called to womb spiral and the temple is calling you, please do message me, because I've got a ridiculously amazing special. Like, I've surprised myself. But anyone who comes through the Temple of Armella at any of the levels is going to get, I wasn't going to announce, but I am going to, we'll get Womb Spiral, the next Womb Spiral retreat, which is in September, for less than half the price. Like, I think it's like, I don't know, 40% or something of the price of what it is normally. Like, it's insane, because the reason why I'm doing that is I just want to support women in fully getting this transmission and in fully getting this work. So from my heart to yours, to everyone who has been watching, thank you so much. I'm going to give each of the women the opportunity to just come on here and say any final words that they feel they want to say to start to close. But yeah, from my heart to all of the women on here as well, like, who are in the Temple of Armella, you know, I adore you. I am so grateful for everything that you are and for the transmission and the gift that each of you brings to the world. And I am honored, deeply honored, to be able to walk this path alongside each and every one of you. So I don't know if any of you have anything that you would like to say as we kind of start to wrap and say goodbye. But if you do, you can unmute yourself and share anything you want to say to the women that just journeyed with us for like 3.5 hours. Is that right? And there are some women who have been on the whole time. Brigitte, did you want to say something? So a little hand.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'd like to share and just say thank you, you know, for taking the time to give this to yourself. This is like, even if you go no further than right here, this is a real gift for yourself, for you. And this is like the beginning of everything, when we give ourselves the gift of us. And I'm very grateful to be here, and I'm very grateful to have had this opportunity to share this space with you, Zapheria, with all the women. And just, you know, I can feel the women, and I can't see anybody, but I can feel them. So I'm very grateful to be here, and very grateful to have been able to contribute to this space and contribute to the women that are watching. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Brigitte. Yes, Zoe.
Oh, like, this space has me in my feels today. But I love it. Like, I was just sitting here feeling like this is just how it's meant to be, you know, like, this is just how it's meant to feel, like, in community and in sisterhood or siblinghood. And I'm just so grateful for this space. I'm so grateful for, like, that I have been on this journey for the past year, but that I get to go through it again. And, like, I don't know, just being in this space just makes me feel so fucking grateful, and like that deep feeling of this is special, but this should be normal to, like, be in this sort of space and community, and to think about, like, ancient traditions and how we were supported and initiated into our power and into our feminine essence and mystery. And through every big transition in life, there was this to hold and support. And I'm like, there's such a deep craving that feels old in me for this. And like, the words that just keep repeating are just like a sense of, like, I'm home, like. And I'm just so grateful, and I'm really grateful for the women that joined today. And, you know, whether they decide to come with us, or if this was just what they needed, like, it is such a gift, like you said, Brigitte, but also such a gift for me to be here. So yeah, I just wanted to share that, really feeling it. And yeah, I just love you all so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Zoe. Jamy.
I, of course, agree with everything you guys have already said. Definitely feeling you, Zoe, in just feeling blown away by this space. I mean, I've journeyed with you women on deep levels for a long time, and I'm still blown away by like the immensity of what you brought tonight, but also like knowing that that's just like this minuscule bit of the wisdom that you have to offer. And I'm just speechless and deeply grateful and honored to be in this circle. And I also want to reiterate what Zapheria said, in that I welcome any questions, any inbox messages. Like, it's not just, we're not just saying that, or at least I'm not just saying that. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to connect with you, whether it's with the intention of being in the temple or not. I would love to, connect and answer and support in any way that I can. So I love you, ladies, so much.
Thanks, Amy. Thank you. Isadora.
Yes. Oh, this was so deeply nourishing, and just want to thank everyone who's tuning in and attuning to the naturalness of all of this. And when I felt the call, it was not logical. So I would just say, don't trust the womb, and allow the thoughts to be there. But really, you will be transformed on the other side of this journey. And I'm sure you already feel that just today. So yes, please reach out and connect and stay in the circle. And thank you, all of you. I learned so much, and just I'm so grateful for this group. We're gonna have so much fun. Wow. Yeah.
Yes, we are. So anyone who is like, oh my gosh, I think I want to know more about the temple, we're about to dive in on the 11th of April. We start the journey. We're in together for 6 months. It's an online space. There are 3 different levels that you can come in at, so that it doesn't matter where you're at, whether it's you want it for your own personal connection, whether it's you want it because you're already a practitioner or a leader in some area, or a facilitator of some sort, and you want to enrich in what you offer, or whether you would like to come and become a womb spiral practitioner and join this group of women, which there's actually 13. There's 13 who have been through so far, who are starting to really work together like this. And so if you're kind of craving for, I not only want a modality that I can take to the world, but I also want a group of women that I can start to co-create with. There's that option as well. But it doesn't matter where you are on your path, there is a different level for you. Please reach out. Like I said, we start on the 11th. There's still plenty of time. And oh my God, I'm so excited. I have goosebumps. I wish I could turn the computer around. I have a channeled artwork actually that was created specifically for this. There is yes, I will share. There's a teacher in spirit form who's been coming to me and sharing a lot more womb wisdom than what I already have. So there is some brand new teachings coming through, which is really exciting for me and for the other women as well, who are like, what else is coming? But she channeled a piece of artwork through me that is sitting here on my altar. And there is one, it's hard to explain, but there's one little like piece of art on there that represents each woman that's coming in. So if you are a woman who is coming in, you are already in an artwork and sitting here on my altar that I look at every single day. So I know that you're coming. I can feel you. I am tuning into you every single day and tuning into you from my heart with so much love that if this is for you, you are finding your way in, and that we are so ready for you. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to take us off live. We're going to come in a minute and check out any further comments that you have, but just sending you all so much love for the rest of your day, the rest of your weekend, wherever you are in the world. We look forward to speaking to you all soon.